Hello everyone. In this video, we will introduce you how to collect data from a workflow and how to use the visualization and analysis tools available on Analyze panel to process this data and create reports. In the first part, we will start with general information about Analyze basics in pSeven. Then we will consider the most essential functions of the pSeven Analyze in a live demo. Let's begin with introduction. Similar to workflow that contains blocks and links, plots and analysis tools unite in composition called reports on the Analyze panel. A report can include data from files or different workflows and combine results of multiple workflow runs. To make this possible, each pSeven project has its own database, which stores all data collected from workflows. Reports use the project database as a data source, but also have their own databases that store linked copies of data. The advantages of this storage scheme are the following. Workflow files do not store results, so even if a workflow gets deleted or corrupt, results are still available from the project database. Reports are linked to the project database, so if new results appear there, a report can be easily updated. Reports also store copies of source data, so if the project database is corrupt, reports are not broken. It's possible also to copy a report with associated data without copying the whole project database. In general, obtaining and analyzing results in pSeven consists of the following steps. Create a workflow solving your task, configure and connect blocks, set up port monitoring, decide what data you want to gather from the workflow and specify corresponding block ports. Run the workflow. While it runs, monitored data is saved to the project database. In Analyze, create a new report, select needed data from the project database, and add it to the report database. Process the data from the report database using various analysis and visualization tools. Also, if you are working with a pre-configured project, the sequence of actions becomes even more straightforward. Open a workflow and the related report. Run the workflow. Refresh the report to see the latest results. Let's switch to the pSeven graphical user interface. We will consider capabilities of the Analyze tools on the example with rotating disk. Let's open the workflow. pSeven allows to monitor any port of any block in a workflow, meaning that all data sent or received through this port is captured and stored in the project database. The monitoring mechanism is the main method to collect data for analysis. Its advantages are that you can gather not only the final results, but any data that appeared during workflow execution, which allows to trace the process. Port monitoring can be set up in two ways. When configuring a block, you can enable port monitors on the Ports tab in the Configuration dialog. Or you can use the Workflow Configuration tool, available both in Edit and Run. The Monitoring tab lists all ports with enabled monitoring and allows to add or remove monitored ports. Here you can also assign aliases to ports and change their descriptions. If assigned, an alias becomes the name of the record in the project database that will store values collected from this port. Otherwise, pSeven will use a default name in the blockname.portname format. Ports with enabled monitoring appear in Run on the right pane of the Configuration tab. Before running your workflow, you can adjust monitoring settings by switching monitors on and off. When you start a workflow, pSeven begins writing data to the project database. In Analyze, you can add some or all of this data to a report to analyze results, create plots, and so on. A project database is a common data storage for all workflows in your current project. The database file stores monitored data, values of workflow inputs, outputs, parameters, and additional information for every workflow run. Workflows themselves do not save any results data, so if you want to send a workflow with results to someone else, you will have to pack the entire project. The simplest way to add data from project database is to drag them. If you drag data to the report editing area, this action automatically creates a sample viewer. Sample viewer shows raw sample values. Each column corresponds to a data series in the report database. Cell colors indicate high, red, and low blue values. To create new report, click plus button and use editing area to plot interesting data. Once a report is configured, it can be quickly updated with new data using the refresh function. The project database structure is the following. On the top level, there are workflow records. Their names are the same as the name of the corresponding workflow. Each workflow record contains a number of run records. The special last run record is a shortcut to the most recently active run record. A recently active record is the one that was created last or updated last. This is the case when you set a run name that already exists in the project database. The context menu of the project database pane provides the following commands: add to new table, add to data series transposed, add data from project database to a report. These commands are available only when you have a report open. Collapse all collapses all open records to clean up the project database pane view. Rename, remove, reduce database size does a database cleanup, completely removing the data contained in deleted records and rebuilding the database structure to reduce the project file size. The report is actually a file pair. A .pSeven rep file, the report document, and a .pSeven RDB file with the same file name, the report database. When you manage, copy, move reports in pSeven, it automatically handles the report and database as a pair, and never shows .pSeven RDB files in Workspace. If you use a system file manager to transfer reports, you will have to remember to copy both files. Report database contains data series, 1D arrays formed from multidimensional project database records. This data is shown on the data series pane. The simplest way to add data from the project database is to drag them. Here you can export data to CSV or Excel file, or import external data. The split data command can be used to split a dataset, already added to a report, in two new datasets, for example to create training and test samples for the model builder or model validator. Let's add data to the sample viewer. Various information about data samples such as statistics, correlations, and analysis of dependency are available in Sample Viewer. The Statistics tab shows descriptive statistics. The Summary group box shows general sample statistics, while the table shows statistics for each sample dimension. The Correlations tab is used to spot correlations in the sample. The type of plot to show can be specified using the respective view mode selector. Two display modes are enabled, X versus X and X versus Y. The correlation selector specifies method to compute correlation coefficients. The dimensions to analyze are set using the Dimensions selector. On the Dependency tab, you can try to fit the sample with a linear or quadratic approximation model. After you select the input and output columns and the approximation technique to use, pSeven will train a model in the background and validate it on the sample data. Validation results are shown in the model accuracy table on the scatter plot, which compares sample values with the values predicted by model. The predictions can be obtained either by calculating model outputs for the sampled inputs by default, or from cross-validation, which is automatically performed when training the model. The scatter plot and the feature importance chart can be exported to images using commands from the Viewers menu. Each window in the report is a specific data analysis or visualization tool that uses data from the report database as a source. New viewers can be created in a next way. Select some data series in the Data Series pane and click a button on the report toolbar. It creates a viewer and automatically adds the selected data to its source. In the 2D plot viewer, each dataset can be rendered as a line on the plot. In the 3D plot viewer, a dataset can be rendered as a surface or a point cloud, and so. In viewer configuration dialogs, each dataset is configured on its own tab. Filter applies a value or a string filter to the dataset. For visual plots, various settings of representation are available: title and legend name, line colors, marker types, and so on. A column chart presents data with vertical bars with lengths proportional to the values that they represent. A histogram plot provides a graphical representation of the distribution of numerical data. Parallel coordinates plot is a useful tool for visualizing multidimensional data. It shows each point as a polyline with vertices representing its coordinates along each axis. Hovering a line vertex highlights the point or all nearby points if the lines are closely packed and shows a tooltip with coordinate values. You can select the lines within the desired range by clicking on the respective axis and dragging the mouse up or down. Note that you can configure the report while the workflow is still running, and then use the refresh function to automatically update it with new data. In addition to the results post-processing tools, Analyze provides a number of tools to work with approximation models. The modeling tools are powered by the same pSeven core component, which is used in the Approx Builder and approximation model blocks, the generic tool for approximation. While the Approx Builder block is intended to automate model training, the tools described in this section are designed for interactive usage and does not require you to create workflows. You can use Model Builder to build approximation models. You can use Model Validator to validate and compare models to select the best approximation, and use Model Explorer to analyze general model behavior. You can also export models to Excel, Octave, MATLAB, FMI, or other standalone formats for further applications. More information about predictive modeling tools you can find in another video. That's it. Thanks for your attention and goodbye.